Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Coach Becca. Today we are on week 4 of our Strength for Marathoners series. So today we're going to be using some more key equipment, a little bit different from the past weeks. We are going to continue using the ankle circle band or the TheraBands today, primarily for the ankles, and then some weights and the kettlebells later on. You'll also need, this is probably the key thing today. We'll start seated on the bench, and I'll kind of show you how you could do this without a bench if you don't have a bench like this at home. We're also going to be utilizing it for some of our jump training later on, and I'll try to give you some other options because I realize not everybody has access to a bench like this. So you can get away with our very first movements, and then I can kind of give you some suggestions for the later on movements as well if you don't have a bench. Like a little step bench would work, or if you have access outside to maybe some stairs, things like that. So just kind of things to keep in mind for today's workout. I don't have the weights or the kettlebells out just yet because I want to have the area clear for when we do some of our jump training. So I'll get out the kettlebells and the weights later on. So that equipment is very similar to what we've used in the past weeks. I briefly touched on this last week, but oftentimes in marathon training, what you'll do is you'll build for 2 weeks and then come down for a week, or maybe have a race like a 5K, 10K, or half marathon, and then you kind of come back up again. So last week, we kind of had a little bit of a down week, or what have you. So I'm just trying to put this into context of your training as a remote coach. I'm giving my athletes these workouts as well based on their marathon training. That's the purpose of these workouts. I myself am in a marathon build, so I thought we could all do this together. So just to give you a little context there, if you are self-coached, the idea of progression within your run cycle. If you're watching this thinking, hey, I'm not a marathoner, that's fine. This workout can still apply for a lot of different people, but we're really making this we're making marathoners the focal point of our series. So great for triathletes, great for anyone, great for any type of runner, and any level. So let's get started today. Take a seat on your bench. I'll show you why I like to do this on a bench first and foremost, but we're going to be doing some ankle, different direction ankle movements. So you're going to be doing something sort of like this. So get yourself into that kind of position. If you do not have a bench at home, what you can do is cross your legs like so. And you can kind of use your other leg as like a little way to get your foot off the ground. That way your ankle's not scraping on the ground. So you can kind of use this position, this setup, if you don't have a bench at home for this little series that we're going to do. So, okay. 1 foot on the bench, you can just place the band around your instep. And we're going to start with just pointing against the band so the resistance, is going. It's pulling me this way, and I'm giving the action is by pointing my toe. So we're going to start there. We'll do just one set of 20 of these. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try to really open up that ankle mobility and strengthen those ankle joints, muscles, tendons, all the good stuff. We'll do 10, 9, 8, 7. Press into that band as you extend the foot. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And that movement is pretty strong in this ankle, so I really gave myself a lot of tension there, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my other foot, we'll do this on the other side too. And if you are on the ground, what you can do is cross one leg over the other and just hold right next to the band. If you don't have, because I want my ankles to be clear of the ground. So if you don't have that, you're going to have to cross one leg over the other and extend your arm out and push against the band. And you're going to want that anchor point like so. You want the resistance to be like directly parallel, okay? And so now what we're going to do is a much harder movement is the band is resisting you as you rotate your foot outwards. And I like to look at my knees and just make sure I'm not rolling my whole leg. I'm making my ankle do the work, okay? So I'm going to push against that band outward, away from my center line. Okay, and this one's harder, so I'm going to do 10 on each side, okay? So I'm going to do 10, 9. I'm taking a little bit more time to come all the way back in. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we'll do the other side when we do this whole cycle on the other side. The next one, you can do this. This is the same setup whether you're on the ground or on a bench. You're just going to hold the leg that you're working on. And now the resistance is as we flex the ankle towards us. So your foot is just kind of anchoring the band, and you're going to pull towards you, strengthening kind of these muscles. So you're flexing the foot towards you, and we're going to do 20 of these. So 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very good. Okay, and the last one, you would do this the same way if you're on the ground or not. The foot, you're crossing you're crossing your legs, hands go behind you, kind of supporting your posture. And I'm still working on this leg here, okay? You want to manipulate the band in this cross-legged position essentially, because now the band is going to be resisting you as you rotate your foot inwards, okay? So we had before when we were like this, the other foot was helping us as we rotated the foot outward just by crossing the feet. Now the resistance is here, and you can get that kind of the other ankle movement. So we're kind of getting all of the movements of the ankle. This one is much harder as well, just like the external rotation kind of one. There's pronation, supination, however fancy you want to get it, but 10 of these, and then we'll switch the other leg. So you could also, if you wanted to, if this is really confusing you and you're like, what's going on? You can also hold the band here. You want resistance from all angles. Is essentially what we're trying to do with the band, and strengthen the ankle from all angles. So last one, this is our kind of our 4-way band ankle strengthening series. So this is our last one. I know it's kind of a confusing setup, and this is if you're sitting there like, what am I doing? Just trust me and play around with it a little bit if it doesn't feel right, okay? So we're going to do 10 of these now, rotating the foot inwards against the resistance or against the band. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's tough, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Okay, so let's do all of these on the other side now. So we're going to start with kind of the basic point and flex against the band, might be the easier one. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, next. Band goes around the outside of the feet, or you can hold it if you're on the ground and stack your feet. We're going to rotate outwards, and we're going to do 10 of these. These are a little harder. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Now you're going to hold, and you're going to have resistance as you flex your foot or bring your toe towards you. And we're going to do 20 of these. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I have some damage in my ankle on this side, so it's definitely harder in that particular movement. Now we're going to cross one leg over the other, push away from your center line, rotate the foot inwards, if you will, and we're going to do 10 of these. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Wow, that was a lot. And maybe now your ankles feel amazing. So that's all we're going to do with the band today, because that is a lengthy ankle series. But a lot of times when my mileage goes up, the ankles is where I feel it the most, potentially because I have an injury there, but I've gotten that feedback from a lot of my athletes as well. So we're done with the band. And now we're going to work on some jump training. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to start with is a step off movement, a depth drop. I've done these before in my videos. It's a common movement. It's one of my favorites as a former performance coach with different sports. I just think it's a really important aspect to train the body to absorb load. I mean, really any age or any sport or whatever. So you're going to start standing up on your bench. This is a really stable bench that we're comfortable jumping on and off of. But if you have the option to use a box or like a aerobics step that's really secure, you could, if you have outside steps that you could do this from that are really stable. This is pretty high up and I'm pretty experienced with these. You might want something a little bit lower if you're newer to them. So look around, make sure that it's stable for you. We are going to be doing some jumping on and off today. So just make sure that your bench, step, box, whatever it is the appropriate height and that it's secure enough that's going to support your load whether you're jumping on or off. Okay, so do these all at your own risk. You'll notice I have shoes on today because of that as well. So you're going to start on top of your box or your step, and you're going to just step off with one foot, but you're going to land on both feet. Okay, and there's in a kind of like a loaded position, soft knees and hips, and we're going to build on this today. So step off, depth drop, and then you're just going to stand back up, step onto your bench, and we're going to go to the other leg. So you're going to go here. That's it. So let's do 10 of these total. So we're going to go right foot, catch yourself, step back up, left foot steps off, right foot, left foot. I guess I should step up with alternating feet as well. Okay, 4 more. You can really feel that, just that absorption and kind of training the body to absorb that load. That's the most stressful part, obviously, of a jump is the landing. So we're kind of working on a good landing here. So 2 more, 1 more per side. Last one, just focus, on sticking those landings in an athletic stance. Okay? So that's a depth drop. It's definitely stressful. We're going to add on to that in our second set. But for beginners, most times I teach them that. Some people just keep them at that level. So we'll build on our depth drops. You'll feel your heart rate up from that. The second set I do is a little bit more advanced, but again, I'll explain. Beginners, you can always just kind of come back to that. So in round 1, everyone should start with that. I think it's a good warm-up set, especially maybe depending on what your day you're doing this on. Did you do your long run yesterday, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all these things to ask yourself, just when you land and you can maybe identify like how your quads and everything are feeling, you can make the decision no matter what level you are to do the advanced version in our next round. So a little bit of rest. Rest is really important when you're doing plyometric training. As you know from doing hard run workouts, you can't do top end work without rest. So that's a big reason why I'm explaining a lot today as well. And I want you to know why you're doing what you're doing. So in between sets of our depth drops and depth jumps, we're going to be doing our lateral skaters, which is a pretty common movement, but today we want to be doing them in a little bit harder efforts. So I really want you to think about pushing hard in that lateral plane of movement and sticking your single leg jump, okay? So we're only going to do a set of 12 of these, which is 6 per side, but we're working more than 90 to 100% effort. Like you're really going to be pushing on these. So it's going to be short, it's going to be explosive, and I'll show you the first set from in front, and then I might have to change just so that I have enough space here because I really want to work hard on these, all right? So let's work really hard with our lateral single leg skaters or jumps, all right? So get into your nice athletic start stance on one leg, and we're going to go 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. Okay, we'll do another set of those after our next set of depth drops. If you are just learning this movement, again, do the same exact thing I taught you in the first one where you're just landing. If you've done those before, like in my past videos, you can move on to a depth drop to a vertical jump. It's really the same exact thing, except for when we land, we're going to jump straight up in the air. So the hard part now is that your body has to absorb the landing and then produce power again. Or it's almost like I was explaining to it, it's like a rubber band. So you absorb all that power and energy from the landing, and then you spring load up, okay? So we're going to do 10 of these. You can take out the vertical jump. Just want to reiterate that, and do the depth drop, which is still a really great absorption and impact and plyometric exercise. All right. So here we go. 10 depth drops. We'll just alternate legs every time. Step off, land, jump if you're doing level 2. That's 1. 2. If you're doing level 2 with me, you want to minimize your time on the ground. You want to get up as high as you can, okay? So land, explode. That's great. This is our last set of these, so I do want you working at your maximal effort in either version. Step. This is it for our plyometrics. We'll do one more set of our skaters after this. Here we go. 4 more. 4. 3. 2. Last one. Nice job. All right, ice skaters. Ooh, I'm just going to move my bench out of the way so I can work really hard. Here. Okay, 12 total. 6 per side, and you're working very hard on these. You're going to feel your heart rate still elevated from those depth drops or the depth jumps, depending on what version you did. And again, you're going to be feeling a lot of that in your explosive muscles, your quads. Here we go. Last power move. 1, 2, 3. Get those running arms going. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Great job. Okay, that's the main thing we needed the bench for. I'm going to pull out my weights now. So I've got a heavy kettlebell or a moderately heavy kettlebell. And actually, we will need the step for our split lunge movement, which I alluded to in my last video. Wasn't sure if I'd be teaching you those while I was on my last trip, but we're back home now. So we're going to be doing our traditional movement, our kettlebell deadlift. And then I'll bring the bench back over, and we're going to be doing some split squats with our feet elevated today, or rear foot elevated lunges. So it's a progression of some of our lunges, split lunges that we've been doing. If you've been following along with this series, we've been doing some form of deadlift, whether that's a heavier deadlift or a different position with our feet, or a lighter deadlift on our down week to work more balance, etc. So we're going to go back to a heavy weight or a moderately heavy weight, depending on what you're used to. If you've been tracking your weight the last couple weeks with me and you feel ready to improve your weight, I want you to try to do that today, because we're going to be doing 4 sets of 8 on a 30-second rest cycle. So we're not going to superset this. We're just going to focus on building strength in our hamstrings, our lower legs today with a hip hinge movement. So go a little heavier today. Focus on building strength in those hamstrings at a hard or moderately challenging weight, depending on your background. So feet right under the shoulders. You're going to hinge at your hips with soft knees, so send those hips straight back. Shoulders are your highest joint, then your hips, and then your knees. This should feel like an 8 out of 10 on the exertion scale. Let's do a set of 8. Just roll those shoulders back for me and push that tush back. 1, all the way to the floor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rest. Now, that should have been hard enough where you can feel your muscles fatigued, your heart rate's elevated. You should feel confident in your technique. This works the lower limbs. It strengthens your trunk, your lower back, your hamstrings, your butt. You shouldn't feel pain while doing this. So finding the appropriate weight is going to be up to you since I'm not there to tell you what to do. I don't know what the right weight for you is. That's something you have to be independent enough on your own to do. Round 2 of 4. Shoulders back, hips back. Push. 1. You should primarily feel this in your big muscles. 2, your butt and your hamstrings. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rest. 30 seconds rest. One thing that I will say, if you already feel a lot of fatigue in your lower back, the weight might be too heavy, or you might want to check that you're not doing this with bad posture. This is a huge exaggeration, but your shoulders aren't rounded here and that your tailbone's not tucked under like cat and cow. You don't want to have that cat position. Think more of cow, okay? So those two things could be contributing to feeling this in the wrong spot. Round 3 of 4, hips back, shoulders rolled back. 1, 2, firm grip on your kettlebell. 2, 3, make sure you're really holding strong to the top of the handle. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rest. Okay, we're gonna do one more set. So you should feel good about your weight. You should feel confident. You should feel fatigued, but your form is still strong. We're not doing so much that we're, maxed out or our form is compromised or anything like that. All right. We'll move on to our rear foot elevated lunges after this. All right, we're starting our last round of deadlifts. I'll face you on this one. 3, 2, 1. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job. All right, done with those. Hopefully you feel like you're getting stronger on that movement pattern. Okay, so I'm gonna bring my bench back. You could also use just a basic chair or your couch on this one. You're not gonna be, obviously when you're jumping off and on things, you gotta be a bit more careful with what you choose. Okay, so I'm gonna show you this. If you're just getting into this movement, if you don't have great stability, if you don't have great flexibility, don't do this with weight, because what you're going to get is a really small range of motion movement, which we don't want. We always want a good full range of motion. I feel like that's common sense. So the key beginning parts of this is that you want to make sure you're far enough away from whatever you're putting your back foot on. This just happens to be here, but when I've taught this in person as a personal trainer, I've had people hold on to like a chair or a power rack or something like that, because sometimes it's less disarming if you have something to hold on to. So you can put your foot flat or your foot up. It's up to you and your body. That doesn't really matter as much to me. Now we're going to be strengthening this leg, and what we're going to be doing is a split lunge on this leg, or like a lunge movement. Okay, and this is what we want here. If you're too close to this step, what's going to happen is that back heel is going to lift and that knee's going to come forward a lot. Okay, so just, again, hold on to something if you need to, hop out. This can be tricky to get set up on. And I'll just do this for set body weight. If you've been watching this and you're like, Becca, I've done loads of rear foot elevated squats, I appreciate you for that. Go ahead and go right into holding weight. On our later rounds, I'll do this with weight. Okay, so rear foot elevated. I'm going to say stack your shoulders over your hips, which means as we do this, you're not doing this kind of deal. Again, I'm exaggerating, but I want you to learn the movement right. You're not doing the movement here. The main joints that we're moving are the knees and the hips. So keeping the shoulders back is not only good for your posture, it's good for making the right muscles and joints work, okay? So you don't have to touch your knee to the ground. In fact, you probably won't be able to. But you want to get down deep enough into this split lunge so that your knee, and this hip are about in line. Okay, that's a long description So don't get on me in the comments. But that's how we're doing these. So we're going to do 8 per side. These are tough. They will make you probably a little bit sore the next day, particularly in the quads. So if you got a hard speed workout or hill repeats or something tomorrow, go light on these, okay? Give yourself a crying chance tomorrow. So 8 per side, we'll do multiple rounds, 3 sets total. I'll use weight in the lighter rounds, but here we go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, much like the deadlifts, we're not going to do anything in between, especially because the right leg essentially gets to rest while the left leg's working. So get yourself set up again. And we're going to go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, now, if you want to add weight to these, I recommend not going too heavy if you want to be able to walk tomorrow. It's also harder to hold on to something. So again, there's a significant number of people that shouldn't be doing this with weight because it's very hard to do a split stance movement, let alone a single leg movement. That's the progression. Squats, split squats, rear foot elevated, body weight, rear foot elevated with weight. Adding a upper body movement would be the next progression. So don't get ahead of your progressions. There's no rush on this, okay? Remember, the real victory is your marathon finish line, okay? Here we go. 8 per side. Now I'm just going to show you what this looks like with weight. Round 2 of 3. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. It really adds up with weight. So don't go heavy on these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, last set on each side. And then we've just got one more movement to do today for your calves and arms. Whew, these really add up. Last set. Last hard thing for your strength workout. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Great. Woo! Okay. Last exercise. Split stance or single leg calf raises. And one foot's just going to go up on something. It can be a chair, a step, a box, a ledge, anything. But we just want to focus on one leg at a time. We want that leg to be directly under us. And then we're going to do bicep curls at the top of our calf raise. So we're going to do 2 sets of 10 per side and then we're done. Okay? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Don't need to go crazy on the weights here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, because your arms are going to get a lot of reps. They're going to get like 40 reps in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we kind of want to work at a not fast tempo, but we want to keep it moving. 8, 9, 10. Last set on each side. You can do hammer curls or regular curls. It's up to you. There's a hammer curl. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Last set. Your arm should be feeling it now. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great job. Okay. Now we're done with all of our main exercises. Because I really have a hard time ending a workout without any type of core work, we will end with one of my favorite types of core work to do with a bench. It's also great for strengthening your hip flexors, which are important for runners. If you don't have a bench, you can do this on the ground and just go knees to chest, lifting that lower back up, which I would recommend if you're either a little bit newer to core work or maybe you've got some lower back tightness, because doing it on the bench is just more range of motion and can be a little bit more stressful. So we are going to do 2 sets of 8. If you have a bench, sit right on the edge, hold the bench, curl your knees to your chest just like I showed on the ground. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Short rest. We'll do 1 more set, and then we are finito. 10. 3, 2, 1, begin. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job. All right, guys, that's it for week 4. I'll catch you next week for week 5. We'll keep building, keep getting stronger, have a great run build, stay healthy, stay strong, and we'll catch you guys next week. Happy running.